Aloha family, Supernova Sarah here. I'm here to share with you some ideas and ways you can create a FreedOM nest, also known as a Nidra nest. And I like to also apply this to sound meditations and sound journeys. I've found it very effective to help us surrender more into our meditation practice, which allows us deeper access to ourselves, our body, healing, clarity of mind, and beyond. So I will be sharing a few different positions that you might find helpful, along with some ideas on different tools and props that can support you throughout your practice. This may shift and change depending on your body needs, your body preferences. We all have different body shapes and types and conditions. And so it's really important to allow this to be explorative, an explorative process to see what works for you and also what works for you in the moment. It may change day to day, and the amount of props you decide to use may change whether you're using them at home or going to a studio. I like to bring as much as I can with me to a studio, but sometimes that's not really feasible for some people. So really playing around and seeing what your foundations are that you really, really would love to have with you, and then having some ideas on some additional glorious, luxurious additions to your practice is great. I'll be sharing 4 different positions that you might find helpful, one being laying flat on your back, one being angled, one sitting up just like this, and another one that women who are pregnant or those that have a really hard time lying on their back might find really useful, which is laying on your side. And each of these may require different props. So I'll go through those to the best of my ability, and hopefully you'll find some inspiration there. Starting off with some prop ideas, I have quite a few here that I might work with. I tried to keep it simple, but my favorites are blankets. I have so many more, but I have some that are soft. I think it's really important to pay attention to textures and even colors. You know, colors help us to feel differently. And I have a little bit of a lighter one for an over the body. You definitely want one for covering your body. I have a condition with my neck, so I always have a neck pillow with me. And I cover, this can be a handkerchief, it can be anything really. It's really nice to have something to cover your eyes to block out any light. This is called sensory deprivation and can help us take us deeper into the different sensory experiences as we go within. I have a bolster here, and I have a couple regular just bed pillows, some blocks if you have them. If you don't have blocks, stacks of books work great. And I have another, this is my favorite, just cushiony pillow. This is one that I use under my knees a lot. I'll explain why in just a moment. I also have a cushiony sweater. If you don't have some extra blankets or pillows, you can easily roll up clothing to have some different leverage in your nest. Essential oils, great. Some other things that you can think of is lighting, the environment, scent is really lovely with essential oils or burning sage or incense, really creating that environment that feels great to you. Again, being in a studio might differ your experience as if you were at home. So just using what you can. Some lemon tea or herbal tea is always lovely. I have some other ideas listed in my blog that I'll share in the link below as well. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the position of lying flat on your back. I always have a blanket of some sorts or a little bit of padding under the back of my head here. The reason being is our body gets really heavy during these relaxing experiences and can put a lot of pressure on certain parts that are touching the ground. And I've found over and over again that my head would hurt. So just having something padded there for the back of my head. I like to, and not everyone does this, but I just like to share it because it's helpful to me. I have a blanket under my mid back. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm laying down, but it also supports my elbows. And then I have my favorite cushiony pillow here for under my knees and something under my heels and my Achilles. Again, those points hitting the ground can start to hurt after a while if you don't have padding there. Some people use bolsters under the knee, these big bolsters. I find, and maybe it's because I'm a little bit shorter, smaller, I'm not sure, but the width of these in the sturdiness of it makes my lower legs go to sleep. It's like putting extra pressure against the blood flow. So I have my cushiony pillow. That's the reason why I do that. So I'll show you what it looks like as I lay down. My bottom is below this so that this mid blanket here is again at my mid back. And this blanket is here under my head. And can't forget the neck pillow. This is my favorite. Neck pillow here. And so as my arms, if I have my arms lying flat like this, an open palm, I actually tuck my arm underneath this just because it's kind of putting pressure on my wrist if my hand is down like this. It's just an angle that I don't like. But the reason why I like this is because a lot of times I have my hands on my belly and so, or my heart. And so it helps my elbows and helps prop up my arms a little bit. So I like that there. Again, you don't need this. This isn't necessary. The pillow under the knees, I find super necessary for most people. And what that's doing is that's actually, let me show you really quick. So when we don't have anything under our knees, we have an arch here on our back. And this can apply a lot of pressure against the lower back, affect the sciatica. It can just be really, really not comfortable. So allowing this to come back under the knees, you can start to see the back flattens out a bit and I can relax a little bit more. So hopefully that position feels good to you. If you need extra padding under your hands, sometimes if we're in cold environments and our hands are off of our mat, they're on the cold floor. The top blanket, when you have a top blanket on you, you can always wrap that around your hands so that your hands aren't lying flat on the ground. Okay, for this next one, we are going to be at an angle. This position is so relaxing and so helpful for those of us that either can't lie flat on our back, don't like sitting straight up, and for those that don't want to fall asleep. If you know you're really tired and you might fall asleep and you really want to be present for the experience, which for me is a huge part of why I practice sound and Nidra. This is a great position. It helps us stay a little more aware, a little more awake. And another great reason for this angled position is for snorers. Those that know that you snore, propping your body up at an angle can actually open the throat, open the airways, so that you don't snore as much at least. So it's minimizing the amount of snoring. This can be really helpful, especially in an environment with other people in a class. So all I've done is I've stacked up a couple blocks. Again, you could use a stack of books. You could use even a small suitcase underneath just for leverage. The bolsters are really nice for this because they're really sturdy. However, you can use couch cushions. You can use all kinds of different pillows and different things that can help prop you up at an angle. I also like bolsters because they're just long enough for me, at least, for my head to reach. And so the goal with these is you want it to reach your tailbone. You don't want to leave a gap between the cushion and the floor because then that's putting extra strain on your sacral and lower area here. So bringing my tailbone and spine at the base and just allowing myself here. Oh, so relaxing. So the reason why I have a pillow stacked up over here, and I'm gonna stack one up right here, is because when you're at this angle, your arms are gonna hang at your sides most likely. And so if you don't have padding here, it's kind of like arm rests. If you don't have padding here, your arms can fall asleep really easily, and that gets really uncomfortable fast. So having cushions here is really lovely. It's also really nice to sometimes put your hands along your center here if you feel called to, but I love to have my arms out like this. For those that use neck pillows like me, this still works great in this position. You could have your eye cover, blanket over here, and you rest away. The next position is lying on your side. And like I mentioned, this is really great for those that can't lie on their back and also for women who are pregnant. Women who are pregnant can find amazing comfort in lying in the angled position and also on your side. It is suggested to lie on the left side for pregnant women. Apparently, it opens up the blood vessels and circulation to the fetus. I haven't read studies on that. This is just passing on from different instructors that I've learned from. So lying on your side, it's going to be different for each person. And for me personally, lying on my side can be really uncomfortable due to it feeling like it crunching my shoulders. So I highly suggest putting a block under a pillow of sorts so that it's leveraging up your neck and giving space for your shoulder to fall flat rather than crunching it. I also put a padded blanket underneath my shoulder so that it's not just on the hard floor, unless you have a really cushioned mat. That's always nice. And then I have another mat here, or blanket here for my hip bone. I always feel like so much pressure ends up on my hip, so having some extra cushioning there. And again, it takes a little practice to figure out exactly where you need things in this position. Having a pillow or a bolster between your knees and your legs, something in between your ankles as well, so if it reaches the entire way, some. And then you have one between your arms, just like so. And you can just rest like this. Your hand is hanging over the mat, so you, again, may want something underneath your hand or wrapping your top blanket around it to keep it warm and have a little space between your hand and the floor. And last but not least, the sitting up position. If you choose to sit up for your experience, I highly suggest sitting up against a wall. It's really helpful to keeping the spine straight and just extra support. I personally sit on a bolster or a block. I find the block to be a little rigid, so I'll put a blanket over the block if that's all I have. But I have a bolster here, and then I have a blanket for under my ankles for where they fall. And notice I have some cushiony pillows here. This helps to add some cushion and support under your knees. Some people can sit Indian style. That's great. Sit Indian style however you need. Personally, it hurts my knee, so I tend to sit like this, which feels really good. Having something in your lap is really lovely. You catch your hands and let your arms rest nicely. And of course, the neck pillow. And allowing yourself to settle in there, noticing if you need to adjust your sit bones, your hips. Getting your sit bones as close to the back wall as possible can be helpful. Sometimes, because there's such an arch in the lower back, sometimes having something small behind the lower back can be helpful as well. It's different per person. So those are the 4 FreedOM nest positions I wanted to share with you. If you have any other insights, ideas, ways that you adjust and set up your nest, please share in the comments below for others and for me to learn more. I love hearing how other people have found new creative ways and new props and new ideas on how to help us feel more supported and comfortable. I hope you have a beautiful day. Happy nesting.